Hey guys, it's your man Pete, and this is Selling Toronto. And today we're going to be talking commercial real estate. And specifically, we're going to be talking about finding a space if you're thinking about opening a restaurant. Stay tuned for some of the ways I choose locations for my clients. See you on the other side, guys, right after this. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, not only do I do residential real estate, but I do commercial as well too. And one of the ones that I really enjoy working for my clients for is finding a restaurant location for them, because it's just so exciting. I like working with business people, entrepreneurs, because we create possibilities together. You know, we form a team, I act as their consultant and their marketing specialist, and sometimes we're able to build something very, very magical together, which is very fulfilling and satisfying for me. But today, I'm going to talk about sort of some of the ideas and things that I look out for when I'm trying to help my clients find a new restaurant space. Now, of course, a lot of people think that just because you're paying the most rent or you're getting the best end cap corner space, that you're going to do well no matter what. Well, that's not always the case. So let's bust some of those myths, because if your rent is incredibly expensive, if you're paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month in rent, that might even sink your business faster than you can even imagine. And so a lot of people seem to think that foot traffic and the number of people that are walking by the store is always going to be a solid metric for assessing whether your business is going to do well or not. Well, that is part of the solution to have a successful restaurant. But generally speaking, when the rent is that high and the traffic is that great, you're also going to have a lot of competitors in the same area or on the same street that you're looking on. And so just because you're paying a lot of rent and you're getting a lot of foot traffic, it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful 100% of the time. And I know everyone likes to say that location is everything in real estate, but sometimes it's not that important when it comes to the restaurant space, because food, drinks, and experience is number one. I've seen it time and time again where there's been very successful businesses that are actually somewhat hidden, do an incredible job of drawing people in, because sometimes there's a bit of that mysterious factor, or sometimes it's just really, really hard to find the right space. And so you just have to make do with what you have. And oftentimes you'll find that the rent is a little bit cheaper, or maybe even a lot cheaper. And maybe the landlords will even negotiate with you. You know, I've seen it many times before where people are actually willing to travel far distances, I myself included sometimes, to get the food that we want. Sometimes it's the journey that makes it fun and exciting. Now, I may not want to go back every single week, but if there's something that I really, really enjoy and they do it really, really well, you're going to want to make that trek maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. The key is that you want to have regular customers. That's the important thing. There's no point in having a lot of foot traffic when somebody comes in, tastes the food, it's no good, and they never want to come back. In fact, they might even do a rating on Yelp or tell their friends that the food is horrible. So what you have to do is you have to focus on your business. You got to work in your business. Leave the real estate stuff to me. And when you're negotiating a lease today, especially in downtown Toronto, you want to make sure you're choosing a location that is stable. Because as we all know, any type of prime location in a main artery such as Yonge Street is going to be open to demolition. And let me tell you, every landlord is going to try to keep that clause in there to make sure that they can actually build on it or sell it off to a developer and make mucho millions of dollars. The standard arrangement, if you can actually get it, is a 5-year lease agreement with a 5-year renewal option. And this is predicated on you paying your rent and being a good tenant. And oftentimes you'll get half a year to maybe even a year of notice to decide whether you're going to renew that lease or not. My opinion, I would avoid Yonge Street pretty much completely all the way right now, because the point is that you want to set up a business and you want to operate it for a very long time, especially if you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on setting it up with equipment, furniture, branding. You know, it's a really hefty investment to be putting into a restaurant. So you want to make sure that that is spaced out over at least 5 or even 10 years so that you can recover all of those expenses. And one of the great opportunities, although they are expensive these days, is to position yourself under a new condo. Because with the new condos, you know they're not going anywhere, they're brand new, they're built, and sometimes you can actually take advantage of the customers who are living right upstairs. And oftentimes the condo itself ends up being branded with the coffee shop or the bar or even the restaurant that it's attached to. If you're thinking about condo retail, you might think about purchasing it as well too, so that you have a little bit more stability and you can operate your business for a very long time. That's if you've got the deep enough pockets for that, right guys? Whenever you're dealing with commercial real estate, there's something that's called TMI, or AKA additional rent. So the way that they usually set this up is that there's a base rent or a net rent that you're going to be paying. It could be $33 a square foot, $50 a square foot, $100 a square foot, and then you multiply that by the total square footage that that you're paying for, and then you divide it by 12, and that becomes your monthly rent. But on top of that, you're going to be paying for taxes, maintenance, and insurance. That's what TMI stands for. Not too much information, although I hear that quite often, that I give too much information. So what that means is the landlord is actually pushing all the responsibility onto you to take care of your business. So every additional cost or expense, taxes, maintenance, and insurance, you're going to be responsible for. What they call it in the business is a net lease, which means that all the responsibility is on you. The landlord is responsible for certain things, such as taking care of the structure of the building, the roof, the windows, sort of the basic things. But it's not like residential real estate. In commercial, you have to take care of everything yourself as the tenant, because you're the one that's operating the business, right? And I should mention that there is HST attached on top of the rent every single month, because this is commercial purposes. Okay, so a really important thing that I want to talk about is culture and cultural nuances. And this is obviously a very important subject here in Toronto, and there's a lot of retailers and businesses that didn't quite understand this about Toronto. You have to really understand the different areas and your target market for your particular restaurant or business, because you want to have the highest chance of success, right? And that's why you need to hire someone like me, who's going to be like your agent, your realtor, your consultant, who's going to help you position yourself the best way possible if you're thinking about branching into Toronto. You have to define who your target audience is. I mean, in other countries where there's a more homogeneous nature, where everyone is the same, everyone looks the same, everyone's from the same backgrounds, grandfathers, they know their grandfathers, you know their cousin, you married their sister, all that types of things. It's not exactly like that here in Toronto, okay? We are a multicultural society, not a homogeneous society, and not even like a melting pot in the US. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about this city and this country, thinking that it's very similar to the US. And it is in some ways, but it's also very different. So once you decide what type of cuisine you're going to offer, you definitely want to think about who your target audience is going to be. And not only how much you're actually going to charge, but what the service level is going to be like. And whether it's going to be a daytime or a nighttime restaurant, because that actually makes a difference as well too. So it's definitely important to have someone on the ground who knows this market inside and out, and where to better position yourself for the best chance of success for your restaurant. And sometimes it's actually a very smart move if you've got a great menu, you've got an excellent experience. We saw this with Gu Izakaya, who came from Vancouver to Toronto, and they've done incredibly well. They've completely blown up here. I'm sure they're making a lot more money here in Toronto than they are in Vancouver, where they didn't choose the best location to open their restaurants. In fact, they actually started building them in very seedy type neighborhoods because they believed in their product. They believed in their experience. They knew, or they had a feeling, that they were going to be able to draw people based on their food, their marketing, and the experience. And what they did was they just got people talking. They're like, have you been to Gu? Like, this place is so cool, Like, it's just got a great name, great branding. I know it's not called Gu anymore, but they've set an excellent example for how to penetrate this market, grow, and to provide an experience that is different like no other. So great food, strong brand, killer location is going to cause your business to blow up here in Toronto. And believe me, there's a lot of room for different types of food and experience here. We're waiting for more, guys, believe me. So I hope you found this video helpful in some way. If you're thinking about opening a restaurant, or you want to be the next master chef and you want to have the next big branded restaurant here in Toronto, you definitely want to give me a call. I know my stuff when it comes to residential and commercial real estate, and I'd love to be a part of your success in this city. And I'm excited to work with you guys. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And until the next one, we'll see you again. Bye for now. So it's definitely really important to work with somebody who knows this market really well, so that you don't have a big colossal failure like some other people. I think it was $3.4 billion lost or something like that.